Let me ask you something. What if I told you there's a vaccine that can actually prevent cancer? I know, it sounds like something out of a science fiction movie, but it's been a reality for over 40 years. Today, we're going to dive into the incredible story of the hepatitis B vaccine, a true masterpiece of public health.
To really get why this vaccine is so important, you have to start with this number, 820,000. According to the World Health Organization, that is how many people die every single year from causes related to the hepatitis B virus. It's a shocking loss of life, and it's happening mostly in the shadows.
So, here's our roadmap for today. First, we're going to look at just how big a global health threat hepatitis B really is. Then, we'll get into the invention of what many call the first ever anti-cancer vaccine. After that, we'll see the massive effort it took to take it global, celebrate its incredible 4 decades of success, and finally, look at why this fight is definitely not over yet. Okay, let's start with the problem itself. How big of a threat are we really talking about with the hepatitis B virus? So, the hepatitis B virus, or HBV, is a blood-borne virus that makes a beeline for the liver. Now, the initial sickness isn't even the main danger. The real problem is when the infection becomes chronic. The virus just sits there, causing constant inflammation. And over many years, all that damage can lead to cirrhosis, which is basically severe scarring of the liver. And eventually, it can trigger the cell mutations that cause a really deadly type of liver cancer. And the scale of this is, well, it's just staggering. The WHO estimates that right now, 296 million people around the world are living with a chronic hepatitis B infection. That is a massive population of people at risk for some very serious liver disease and, of course, cancer. Now, here's where the virus is at its most cruel. Its impact is totally dependent on age. If you're an adult and you get infected, you have less than a 10% chance of it becoming a chronic problem. But for a tiny infant infected in their first year of life, that risk shoots up to over 90%. This one vulnerability right here is why mother-to-child transmission became the absolute #1 target in the fight against this disease. So with a problem this severe, especially for newborns, the world needed a truly groundbreaking solution. And that brings us to the development of the vaccine itself. The journey starts in 1981 with the first vaccine. It was a huge step, but it was made from the plasma of infected people. The real revolution, though, came in 1986 with a recombinant DNA vaccine. This was a much safer and way more scalable method using genetic engineering. And the innovation hasn't stopped. As recently as 2017, a third-generation vaccine got approved, using advanced additives to kick the immune system into an even higher gear. And this was the real game changer. That original method using plasma was risky and you just couldn't make enough doses for the whole world. But shifting to recombinant DNA technology, that was a breakthrough. Scientists could safely grow a tiny piece of the virus's protein in yeast. Suddenly, the vaccine could be made safely, cheaply, and in enormous quantities. This wasn't just a science thing. It was the key that unlocked the possibility of global vaccination. Okay, so having a fantastic vaccine is one thing, but getting it to every single person who needs it, that's a whole different ballgame. This next chapter is all about public health strategy. At first, the plan was to just vaccinate people who were considered high risk, healthcare workers, people living with someone who was infected. But it just wasn't working. The virus was still spreading like wildfire, and infection rates weren't really going down. It was pretty clear they needed a new approach. And that's when the big shift in thinking happened. Taiwan, a place with a really high infection rate, became a pioneer. Way back in 1984, they started universal vaccination for all infants, and it worked. That success story got the world's attention. By 1991, the WHO said, okay, every country needs to make this shot a standard part of childhood immunizations. Then, in 2009, came the most critical recommendation of all. Give the first dose to every single baby within 24 hours of being born. That's how you stop mother-to-child transmission cold. So, with a powerful vaccine and a smart global strategy finally in place, what happened over the last 4 decades? Well, the impact has been nothing short of spectacular. Let's just pause on this for a second, because this is a huge concept. We're not just talking about preventing a viral infection here. We're talking about preventing cancer. By stopping the virus that causes all that long-term damage, the vaccine completely breaks the chain of events that leads to liver cancer. This was one of the very first times in history medicine could do that. And the data, wow, the data is just incredible. Look at Taiwan, the pioneer we just talked about. They saw deaths from childhood liver cancer plummet by over 90%. In Italy, new infections basically vanished. But maybe the most stunning proof comes from a program way up in Alaska. This right here is the ultimate success story. A focused immunization program in Alaska took the rate of childhood liver cancer from a consistent 3 per 100,000 all the way down to 0. They didn't just reduce it, they eliminated it in that population. That is what a public health victory looks like. So, after all that incredible success, it might be tempting to just declare mission accomplished. But as we're about to see, the job of getting rid of hepatitis B is far, far from finished.
This is the single biggest hurdle we have left. Remember that supercritical first shot within 24 hours of birth? Well, as of 2022, more than half of the world's infants are still not getting it. That is a massive hole in our defenses, and it's leaving millions of babies vulnerable, allowing the virus to just keep on spreading.
And the reasons why are, well, they're complicated and they're deeply human. It's a mix of everything from a lack of funding and shaky supply chains to the simple logistics of babies being born at home in remote areas, plus a lack of awareness or even mistrust in the healthcare system. These are not easy problems to fix.
And that leaves us with this final, really powerful question. The science is done. The tool is in our hands. We have a safe, effective vaccine that has proven itself over and over and over again to prevent liver cancer. The challenge now isn't scientific. It's about logistics, funding, and political will. So the question remains, will we finish the job?